the way you live your life is entirely up to you because you have free control of what you decide to do with your current moment in this reality and time. So if we're looking into the possibility that AI in the next 5 to 10 years will be able to solve and perhaps just completely eliminate all aging and disease. So effectively, humans would be able to somewhat reverse age and live forever with the advancement, the double exponential growth of AI in its current form. And in the future, its superior form. So, knowing that humans, there's probably a 60% chance that humans in the next 5 to 10 years will become immortal. Take that with a grain of salt. We will become immortal and we would be able to live without the fear of dying from age or disease. Of course, gunshots and lethal actions will still kill humans. However, knowing this and knowing that you perhaps in the next 8 to 10 years, 5 to 10 years, you will stay the same age. You will be forever that age if you want to, and you have the possibility to live up to 100, 200, 300 years. How would you live your life? And would you choose to just let the wind guide you? Or would you choose to slow down, saying, hey, I have hundreds of years to my name now. I can do whatever I want. I could chill and just relax. Or would you say, I have 3 centuries to my name, so imagine how much I can achieve. And it's like looking at someone who's very successful already, someone who already has that built up business, that built up business class to them, that built up that fire. They have that built up success and the capital and the wealth and the knowledge on the know-how of what to do going forward. So the way I see it is there's no wrong answer, because every existence, if you gotta look at it, if you could completely zoom out almost to the point that you get yourself in a state where you focus so much on your breath. Now this is implying getting into a meditative state and zooming out so much where you don't even see yourself. You forget that you exist, you forget your name, you forget everything about who you are. And then you try to put yourself in the shoes of every other human on earth. You will somewhat, or you will understand why everyone is the way they are and why they make their actions the way they do. So let's go back to those 2 drastic examples of, let's say, the stereotypical, bum who kind of just coasts through life, and perhaps they live in the virtual world or they do whatever they want without the pressure of society, without giving into the pressure of society. Because especially as a guy, we are judged on the amount of women we can attract, the quality of women we can attract, the amount of cash, the amount of capital we have to our name, the things we own, the way our body looks, our height, our looks, and our status. What's our perceived status? What is our perceived valuability in society? How valuable are we to society? What skill sets do we possess? and what change can we make in the world? The guy who's just kind of coasting through life, you could 100% say, oh, well, he's just a loser. He's just a waste of human resources. But on the other hand, if there's no drastic need, or if he's not hurting society outright just by living his own lifestyle, what is there wrong about that? Now, if we look at on the opposite end of the spectrum, the archetype of the character of a very successful, high-status, attractive businessman, this avatar is someone who takes life very seriously. They take their fitness seriously. They like to display the possessions that they own. They are someone who lives, for the most part, very in tune with the perceived values of society, or what society thinks is good. Now, there's other things. There's like two classes to this. There's like the bottom half class, which is most humans, which is like balance, life balance, having a social circle, and then having a job, and then having a relationship, and then being close with your family, and then also having a hobby. That's kind of like the middle half or the bottom half. And then there's a small percentage of those hyper-successful individuals where they sacrifice perhaps social and family ties and hobbies to go all in on a single craft, or to master something for the reward of financial and then time freedom in the future. So we take a look at both of these archetypes. And obviously, I forgot to say the pros and cons of the successful, hyper-successful individual. There's pros and cons. Just like the bum, per se. The pros and cons of the hyper-successful individual would be that, of course, they probably, if we're being real, they have the greatest existence of any human on Earth, right? They have the existence of getting access to any kind of woman they want, assuming they have game as well, right? Because chicks really don't care about this guy with money if he doesn't know what to say. And they have much more opportunities, of course, to meet the opposite gender. And they have the creature comforts and the cool toys, the trophies of, oh yeah, I want to buy the Camaro ZL1, or I want to buy that Lamborghini. Or, oh, the new Mustang GTD is 300,000? Alright, sign me up, right? Lend it to them, it's like nothing, right? But, of course, if we're looking at the cons to that, it would be high stress, constant maintenance of their business, constant maintenance of their character, how they appear to the media, how they appear online, especially with cameras recording everything these days. They have to keep up with all their tax affairs, and they have a larger audience on them. They have a much larger view on them, right? Especially these days, success is often linked with how known you are and your status. It's very rare that you meet someone, well, this is a perfect example. There was a TikTok the other day, or a YouTube short, and it was like, this is the 12th richest person on Earth, and it was like billionaire, or maybe even trillionaire, and below the caption was like, we don't even know who they are, or on the video it was captioned, we don't even know who they are. So it's so important these days for people that if you're a rich person, you must also be known. That's kind of like that's the necessary evil these days that comes with being rich. So that's also why I would say a tier above this other archetype of an individual we're talking about is the unknown, mysterious person who's financially well off, right? I think it's better to have $10 million and be completely anonymous than to have 100 million and have millions of followers across platforms and have people know who you are. Because then that just opens you up to a much more miserable life of people wanting to get you. You can't do anything without people releasing a video that they have of you or photos, or, you know, you're much more seen to all entities, including the government. You're much more seen by clout chasers. You know, everyone's a clout chaser these days. You got people making videos on you, and you got just, you know, you got people that are just, they're willing to slander your name for them to gain a couple $100, right? So by being someone who's rich but without media presence or basically any online or public presence, that I think that's the best situation to be in. And if you got your spiritual affairs handled, you're close to whatever you believe in, I think that is the best existence, right? So I would consider that to be S tier living. Now, like I was saying, there is pluses and minuses to this as well. If you got the money but no media presence, you of course aren't going to have as much money as you can. And the money, you have to be much more meticulous on how you further your wealth or how you continue to save and create even more opportunity for yourself. Because if you're an influencer, you could just go online and say, all right, we're collabing with this person, we're selling this, or yeah, you know, your face is basically an ad. It's marketable. I mean, look at Logan Paul. Logan Paul, after he very luckily for him, I'm not saying, oh, luckily he saved himself, because I don't really care about Logan Paul, but he was lucky enough to save himself after the Japan incident, and he was able to team up, of course, with KSI and create a multi-million-dollar company just with their faces. Basically, they advertised it, and that's the cool thing, right? But it's also a minus if you choose to remain anonymous. You miss out on opportunities like that. But like I said, I'd say it's worth it. And then I guess another negative would be in the dating game. Well, this is like a smaller negative, because I think influencers make it seem, well, they try to kind of cope and make it seem like they love their lives, or having millions of followers is the best thing ever. When in reality, I see it as more of a negative than a positive. But you know, you got some influencers saying like, oh, the more your status is, the more women will like you. And I believe that's true in some instances. Like, you could probably get people, if you're more well-known, of course. Like, we look at these music stars. Women throw themselves at them sometimes because, well, they're well-known. And it's kind of like a parasocial relationship. Same thing with, like, YouTubers or streamers. Chicks like them because, like, the parasocial aspect is the woman feels safe, and they feel like they've already vetted the guy, right? Because they know him. They've seen lots of content about him. They've seen him speak. They've seen how he acts around other people, around other women. They've seen his mannerisms. They've seen enough about him on the internet to feel that, oh, I'm safe around him, right? Or if he's willing to put himself online like that, then he surely wouldn't do anything to me. And that's a whole nother discussion of like false allegations, and especially if you're well known. Like, a lot of well-known guys have had false allegations against them. But yeah, like I said, best thing is to be. Well, yeah, I didn't discuss the pros, so I guess, yeah, the pros of the anonymous individual who's successful would be that obviously you can go wherever, whenever you want, and exercise your financial freedom. You can travel freely, you can hide, and you can blend in depending on what you look like, of course. But you can, for the most part, blend in to society, and you can just live your life without having a spotlight on you, without having too many eyes on you that will, that will really, in a lot of instances, it will lead to your downfall, having too many eyes on you. I mean, just look at it. I don't even want to name examples, but yeah. That was just kind of my little riff on what I think about, like, how I view things, and how you can really just choose whatever life path you want, man. And I guess as a little closing statement, don't feel pressured at all by society or social media, because there's so much of these people making you think, like, really. This is why I try to push meditation to my followers, because it really shows you who you truly are. Did you really want a Lamborghini before you started seeing it all over the internet? Or did you just want that C6 Corvette with a cam manual? Did you just want that Camaro, right? Social media has you thinking that if you don't have a Bugatti by age 28, that you're a failure. And that couldn't be further from the truth, man. You're only a failure. Well, I guess the most important vector of success is yourself. And you'll only feel like a failure after that opinion has been vetted through your own mind and through your own set of beliefs. So you could just be a guy who's chilling and you're saving up for that Coyote, right? Coyote Mustang. And you just want to pro-charge it and make 800 horsepower, right? You just want to chill out and have fun with that car. But society and social media is making you think that you're a loser if you don't have a Lambo. You're a loser if you don't have a Ferrari. You're a loser if you don't have a McLaren. You're a loser if you don't have a 2000 horsepower GTR. And it's like, no, that is not the case. The people who say that are the losers. Or even if they don't outright say it, they are losers, because think about all the validation they need. These guys that they have their businesses, right? But then they feel, and they buy Lambos at like age 20 or whatever. They feel the need to post themselves on the internet. But they already have money. Well, they're doing that out of a insecurity. They have a deep-rooted insecurity, and the money didn't fix that for them. It didn't solve it, so they need validation from the outside. And validation to them is anything, any form of attention. Likes, dislikes, comments, glazing. Like if you got people glazing them, or even if you got people hating, saying, oh, it's his Lambo's rented, that's all fuel for them. And I genuinely hope those people find happiness, because especially if this thing is true where humans are going to be able to live a lot longer, we're going to see a different form of mental health issue on like people like this, where they simply want, or they don't have the validation for themselves. They're not validated in their own mind. and they still have that deep-rooted childhood insecurity or young teen adolescent trauma of I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough because when I was 10, my teacher said I won't be anything, or my parents said, y'all never get that. So it manifests in, I guess, them trying to appeal to a broader audience, which goes on in the internet, right? Like an example could be that Jack Doherty guy. Jack Doherty crashed his McLaren. And why was that? Well, it's because he gets these expensive cars, but he has no respect for them. He has no respect for the grind, and he has no respect for these beautiful machinery. So that's due to some sort of trauma in his past life or in his previous days on Earth. He's had something that makes him feel invalidated, and it makes him, like, I'm not claiming that he crashed his McLaren on purpose, of course, but like, you gotta just see, like, every action occurring in the present moment. He, instead of checking up on his bleeding cameraman. Now I know this is old, but yeah, still worthy to talk about. As an example, he was, instead of checking up on his bleeding cameraman, right, he was more focused on holding the camera, bro. Hold the camera. Get the shot. Get this. Record this. He was more focused on showing his viewers that he was streaming to at the time, like, what's going on. Look at me. Look, I can crash this McLaren, and my viewers are gonna pay for it. I'm still good. I got this. We're gonna keep flexing the McLaren. We're gonna keep flexing these cars. And it's really, it's sad to see, It's like I said, they don't respect these machines, and they don't respect themselves. Because if they did, they wouldn't put themselves on the internet acting like a fool, or just blatantly disrespecting a fine automobile like that. They wouldn't try to peacock and say, look at me, showing off what they have, showing off the lifestyle. And yeah, it's really unfortunate, but like I said, don't be influenced by anyone other than yourself, and you'll know it. Like, once you do some inner work, you'll really know who you are and what you see as valuable, and what you think is right to spend your time on. Because no matter how you slice it, no matter how you look at it, if we have limited time on this earth, you gotta do it doing things that you enjoy. You gotta spend time doing things that you think are right, that would help you achieve what you want. And if you look at it in the long game, where humans will have centuries to live, you don't want to be that person who's 150 years old, but you're in a mental catastrophe that nothing feels good anymore. It feels like you lived 100 lives by the age of 150. You don't feel bad. You look amazing and you feel great. You're in shape. And you look like you're no older than 35, but you also feel empty inside. You feel as though you are in hell and you haven't been spared, and you're forced to live this life that you really didn't want, but you just ended up there. And yeah, that's just kind of my talk for today.